Hello, friends. Welcome to our channel, where we dive into the most exciting pages of history. Today, we're heading to a turbulent decade that smelled of jazz, sparkled with champagne, and thundered with gunshots. Meet the Roaring Twenties. The Roaring Twenties were a time of incredible contrasts: economic boom, flourishing arts and fashion, the advent of radio and automobiles, and women's emancipation. It was an era of sweeping change when the future seemed to have arrived. Here's a concise translation, but beneath the glossy surface, a different life seethed. Prohibition, introduced in 1920, fueled organized crime. Gangsters like Al Capone became shadow kings, their empires built on blood, corruption, and alcohol. Police were often bought, courts intimidated, and ordinary citizens lived in fear. In this chaos, where money and influence often replaced law, who dared to challenge? Who was willing to risk everything to restore justice? Today, we will talk about those who became true heroes in the era of gangsters and jazz. When we talk about fighting the mafia in the 20s, the first name that comes to mind is, of course, Eliot Ness, a young principled treasury agent who came to Chicago with one mission: to end Al Capone's empire. Ness quickly realized that Capone couldn't be touched by conventional methods. His network was too strong, encompassing police, politicians, and even judges. Ness then assembled a team of 10 young, incorruptible agents, whom the press quickly dubbed the Untouchables for their immunity to bribes and threats. Their methods were direct: surprise raids on speakeasies, destruction of tons of alcohol, seizure of gangster assets. They hit Capone where it hurt most: his income. The Untouchables survived dozens of assassination attempts, bribes, and threats. Their personal lives were under constant threat, but they didn't give up. Ultimately, it was thanks to their efforts, specifically the collection of evidence on tax evasion, that Al Capone was sent to prison. Although Ness himself was not a tax inspector, his persistent work and constant pressure on Capone's empire were key to this process. Eliot Ness became a symbol of unyielding will in the fight against crime. But not all heroes wore suits and acted grim. Meet Isidore "Izzy" Einstein and his partner Mo Smith, legendary Prohibition agents known for their incredible intuition, wit, and love of disguises. Izzy Einstein was a former cigar salesman who, after Prohibition, decided he could help the government. He and Mo Smith became the most effective agents of the Prohibition Bureau. They arrested more violators than any other duo and confiscated millions of gallons of illegal alcohol. Their gimmick? Disguise? Izzy and Mo would appear in speakeasies as opera singers, gardeners, taxi drivers, laborers, farmers, fishmongers. Once, Izzy pretended to be a drunk and asked for a drink, and of course got arrested. They could pose as football fans, then an hour later as Orthodox rabbis. Izzy and Mo not only achieved results, but also demonstrated with their unconventional approach that gangsters could be fought in various ways. They were a kind of folk heroes, adored by the press and hated by bootleggers. Their stories are full of humor, but behind them lay immense danger and uncompromising struggle. Justice wasn't fought only with guns and badges. One of the most powerful tools in the hands of the Roaring Twenties heroes was truth, and brave journalists delivered it to ordinary people. In an era when corruption was the norm and gangsters could intimidate anyone who dared to speak, journalists, the so-called muckrakers, played a critical role. They wrote exposés on government corruption, politicians' ties to the mafia, working conditions, and social injustice. Their investigations led to the resignations of corrupt officials, changes in laws, and the creation of new federal agencies to combat crime. The names of journalists like Walter Lippmann or Lincoln Steffens, though their peak was earlier, their legacy and methodology were actively used in the 20s, inspired a new generation of reporters. They showed that the pen could be mightier than the gun, and truth the sharpest weapon. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss new episodes. See you next time in history. Their legacy lives on, reminding us that the fight for justice is an eternal process requiring courage, integrity, and a willingness to act. Ciao.